Now, if you're watching this video, it's likely that you're either already making covers for YouTube or that you're thinking about getting into making covers for YouTube. Now, whichever one of those you are, just know that as somebody who's also very new to this, I've been on an incredibly steep learning curve over the last couple of months, so I thought I'd share my experiences with you in the hope that you can take something away from this video that encourages you to either post your first video or to improve the videos that you are already making. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and we'll get straight into it. So before we get into it, why am I making this video in the first place? Well, as a new guy to YouTube, I've found that a lot of the tutorials online as to how to make these cover videos, they're all from the guys that have thousands and thousands of followers. And whilst that's all well and good, and they're the guys that we idolise and we look to grow our channels towards, the reality is that they're a little bit detached from the start, if you know what I mean. They've been doing this a long time, they've got a large following, and the reality is that for us guys that are just getting started, it can be quite daunting to pick up a camera and sit down and start talking to a lens as if you're having a conversation with a million other people. So I thought I'd share my tips and tricks, how to get started, equipment that you might need to start making some better videos, the basic equipment that you need to just make some videos. And the reality is that a lot of what I'm going to talk about is stuff that you don't really need to make a drum cover video or any cover video. Everyone's got a phone in their pockets, you can just turn that on, start recording, and away you go. But what I found over the last couple of months is that to really stand out, you need to start putting a little bit more investment into it. Not necessarily monetary investment, but time investment, and really striving for what makes your video better and things that people are going to remember that set you apart from the crowd. Now, I haven't got 1 million subscribers or even 1,000 subscribers yet, but what I have got is this incredibly steep learning curve with lots of snippets of information that I'm discovering along the way that are really going to help you if you're just starting out. So I hope this comes across as a little bit more personal than somebody who's got, 1 million subscribers, that it's just another video to them. Because to me at the moment, this isn't just another video, this is something that I'm really kind of experimenting with, that I'm trying out. And I think in there is a critical first lesson, is that you've kind of just got to experiment. You've kind of got to put yourself out there, see how it goes, and see what comes of it. Now, one of the things that I found quite early on is that when the camera goes on, a song that you know how to play repeatedly without any mistakes at all suddenly becomes this really challenging piece of music. And until you're used to the camera being there, that will kind of still be the case. For me, I'm still getting used to the camera being there. I try and leave it set up when I'm just practicing to kind of get my brain thinking that it's just there all the time. But it will be quite strange for the first few videos knowing that you're actually recording yourself, and that can be quite daunting. So try and relax, try and leave the camera set up wherever you can, just to make sure that it becomes a bit more normal. But the nice thing is that because you're in your garage or your basement or your spare bedroom or wherever you make these drum cover videos, you're on your own with your camera. If you do make a mistake, you can just try again. You haven't got an audience watching until you publish this video. So that's quite encouraging, and that's what I found helped me to try and become a little bit more comfortable with the camera being there. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Even if you're really happy with the quality and there's just one element that really annoys you, you don't have to post the video. To be honest with you, half of the practice in making these drum cover videos is before you actually launch the video. There's so much learning to be made between recording or even just setting up for recording. So if you do find yourself recording videos that never get published, don't count that as a failure, because there are a lot of benefits to just recording yourself for your own practice purposes, if nothing else. So anyway, let's get on to my first point of conversation, which is if you're making drum cover videos, the first decision you've got to make is whether you're going to record acoustic or electric drum cover videos. Now, for some of you, that won't be a decision that you have to make. Some of you just have electric kits, some of you just have acoustic kits. The important thing is, it doesn't really matter. It's just the approach that has to change. So, for example, if you're making an electric kit cover, you've got a lot of different rules that you have to follow, or rather, guidelines that you have to follow compared to an acoustic kit. It's two kind of different approaches. Now, I'm not going to get into which one's better, acoustic versus electric. The reality is that there's 1,000,001 other forums out there online that try and dissect that. What I'm going to talk about now is those different approaches that you might have to take. Now, if you're like me and you make electric drum cover videos, the first decision you're going to have to make is whether you use the module sounds from your electric kit or whether you invest a little bit in a VST plugin for a digital audio workstation and you get a little bit more higher quality sounds that way because they're real samples. Either way is okay. Either way, you'll be able to make a drum cover video that sounds amazing. But one will be just that little bit higher quality than the other, and a little bit more familiar to those viewers who might be more accustomed to hearing acoustic drums. Me personally, I use a VST plugin called Slate Drums. I know a lot of you will be familiar with that, which allows me just to hook up my electric kit to Cubase or any other workstation on the PC or Mac. That just allows me to get a little bit higher quality sounds because I know that I'm getting real samples being used for my drum covers. But again, I just want to emphasize that you don't have to have that plugin. You can just use the sounds from your module and it'll be absolutely fine. There shouldn't be any reason why you can't just plug in an audio jack and record away and get a video out. Because the first step, the hardest step, is really putting that first video out. You know, putting your skills on show for the millions of people on the internet. Whether they watch it or not, you're putting yourself out there, and once it's on the internet, it generally doesn't come off the internet. Now on the acoustic side of things, you're probably going to have to do a little bit more investment up front. Now there's nothing wrong with setting up an iPhone or an Android phone and just hitting record and playing your acoustic drums. The problem is that the microphones they use in those mobile phones, they're not really tailored for musical instruments, so they don't have the frequency response to be able to pick up the low ends of the floor tom and the bass drum, or the high end response to really pick up the attack on the snare drum. What they do offer is a nice all-round solution to post a quick video. But if you are playing acoustic drums and you're looking to make acoustic drum covers, then there are loads of really affordable microphone solutions online. You hear about Zooms all the time being used, and they're a lot better. So perhaps do a bit of research into which drum microphones you can get started with. Now the big takeaway from this conversation point is that you don't need crazy gear to start making drum cover videos. You don't need to invest hundreds and hundreds of pounds to get started. But what you will find is the video quality you get once you do invest a little bit will be that little bit higher. So it's worth considering what you can and can't afford to get started with. Now still on the topic of audio quality, between electric and acoustic drums there are some even bigger differences when it comes to processing the recorded data. Now with electric drums that you don't use a VST for, you'll find that you have to make sure that all of the drums and things are kind of nicely balanced, all the levels and things are correct before you record. Otherwise you might end up having recorded a video and you realise the cymbals are too loud, or maybe the snare drum's too quiet, the bass drum isn't punchy enough. Those kind of things that they're kind of difficult to fix after the matter. But with a VST solution, you've got all that flexibility after you've actually physically recorded. So if you find that the cymbals are slightly too loud or the snare drum isn't loud enough, then you can adjust those after the fact, which is a big plus for electric drum covers. It's a lot more flexibility than you would get from other solutions. Now again, on the acoustic side of things, you're going to have to make sure that you really balance those levels correctly before you hit that record button, because it's really difficult. A bit like electric drums, if you don't use a VST, it's really difficult to process that data after the fact and get a nice balanced sound again without something standing out that you're not happy with. So again, it comes back to what you can and can't invest. With acoustic drums, you're probably going to have to invest a little bit more time at the front end to really get in those levels correct. And my final point on audio quality really is, if you're going to do spoken intros or spoken outros, then it's probably worth investing in one of these things. This is just a really cheap lav mic off of Amazon, but it brings out the quality of your voice a lot better than if you're just talking to a camera or a phone. Now in a future video, I'll break down my particular setup, how I record drum covers, and what I do to get the best out of my sound and visual with the gear that I've got. So if that sounds like something you want to see, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and drop this video a like. Now the thing to remember is that better gear probably does equal better videos. But what we're trying to do with these videos, why are you making covers in the first place? For me, it's kind of to get the point across, to kind of show what I can do and just have a bit of fun doing it. Now you don't need expensive gear to be able to do that. It will make a better video, but it's not 100% necessary to get the point across. Now the next topic that I want to discuss is video quality. And there are a lot of overlaps here between the audio and the video kind of arguments, that you don't need expensive gear to be able to really capture good video nowadays. In fact, it's easier to get good video out of the equipment that you're recording with than it is to get good audio out of them. So for example, mobile phones nowadays, they've got such good cameras on them that you can just set one of those up and know that even if the audio quality is not there, the video quality is going to be pretty good. For example, the first two videos that I published on this channel, I was just using my iPhone and a really small Sony compact camera, and it kind of got the point across. But it did reach a point pretty quickly that I thought I probably need something a little bit better now. But the camera wasn't necessarily the defining thing here. It was more the kind of setup. So I was kind of playing against the wall with a side view and a front view, and everything kind of felt quite constrained. Everything was kind of tucked in a corner, it was a bit compressed, and it wasn't a really good kind of view to be able to see what I'm doing on the kit. So you'll see, compared to those videos, what I have now is a lot better for just clarifying kind of the background and making it a little bit easier to watch than having all this kind of clutter and things. So if you've got the flexibility to move things around a little bit, get yourself a nice clear background to bring the kind of drums into the forefront of the frame, then it's probably worth doing that. Get some nice even lighting. The lighting here isn't the best at all, but it does the trick. And the other thing that's also worth bearing in mind is just add a little bit of colour every now and again. You'll see that I've got my acoustic kit kind of piled up to the side of me here, and that just kind of adds a little element to the periphery of the frame. And also these coloured lights behind me just kind of break up that background a little bit and help to kind of bring things forward and separate the background from me. Now, I've not got a lot of space in here. You know, this is a relatively small room, so I can't really get the background separation that I might like, but this does the trick, and the colour really helps to separate me out from that plain background. Now, for these videos, I still use my iPhone as a secondary camera to capture a different view of the kit, but the primary camera is now a Nikon DSLR, and I just find that helps to bring some clarity to the image. You get a much kind of more vibrant image. Even though the cameras on the phones are good, this is just that next level up that I was talking about to up the quality of the overall video. You can pick up these cameras really cheaply now. They're all over Facebook Marketplace, they're all over Amazon, they're all over eBay, second-hand DSLR cameras, and they really help just up that quality of your video that little bit more. Now, the final thing I wanted to cover is the kind of personal touches in your videos. You know, there's lots of drum cover videos out on YouTube. You've got to kind of try and find a way to bring your personality across, I think. And the way I've tried to do that in some of my other videos, for example, my compilation videos of like 90s classics. You know, I'm a 90s kid, that kind of tells you a little bit about me, but also it kind of brings a more fun element than me just sat behind the kit playing another song that a million other people have been doing. So try and find a little bit of a niche that kind of reflects your character, and that'll help people engage and know that you're offering something a bit more unique than just another cover of a song that everyone knows. Now, it's not to say you shouldn't make those videos. You really should. Any videos you can make is really good practice. I'm finding that out now, that the more videos I make, the better the videos are getting. I'm learning things about editing, I'm learning things about lighting, I'm learning things about playing, which is of course the most important thing. So don't be afraid just to put videos out there of covers that you know that there are millions of other covers of that song online. It's all really good practice, no one's going to judge you for it, but what you should be is a judge of yourself, to make sure that the videos you're putting out there are the quality that you want them to be. And the areas that may not be up to the standard that you were expecting, you know to work on them for next time. And that's the best way I've found of learning really over the last couple of months. It's just to put videos out there, have a look yourself, what you like, what you don't like, and then change things up a little bit for the next time. That was the main reason why I moved the room around. That's the main reason why now I use a slightly different lighting setup. It's the main reason why I've now got a different camera. And the most important thing, I think, for anyone who's just starting out making these covers is to remind people to feed back. Now, whether that's a like, whether it's a subscribe, whether it's a comment in the comments section, the more feedback you can get at these early stages, the quicker your videos will be up to the level that you and your viewers are happy with. Now, when you publish your first video, it's quite a scary thing. You're putting yourself out there in the public domain. Try and encourage as many people as possible to give you that feedback, whether that's friends, relatives, people on other YouTube channels, drum forums. Just try and get as much feedback as you can, because it will really help you progress quicker. So if you've made it to the end of this video, there's one secret that I want to share with you that really helps discover what is and is not good to post on YouTube. And that's an extension to most browsers called TUBEBUDDY. And you'll see this on a lot of YouTube SEO videos, which I'm sure you're watching as well. If you're not, they're probably good to watch as well to help understand how to build more of a brand of your channel. But TubeBuddy really helps out mainly with things like keyword research, to know what to call your videos, what to put in the tags, just to help it stand out a little bit more. There are lots of covers coming out on YouTube at the moment where nobody's putting a description, nobody's putting tags. And the thing is, if you're in a group of 30 videos, all playing the same song, they're all drum covers, and you're the only one with a keyword-driven title, you're the only one with keyword-driven tags, the likelihood is that you're going to get a little bit more success there than those other videos. So it's really worth bearing in mind, starting out on YouTube, making cover videos, really do some keyword research, find out what's going to make your video stand out amongst those other videos that may be very, very similar. Now, it's not the end of the world if you don't do that keyword research. You'll still get feedback, you'll still get views, but you might just be pipped to that top spot by another video that's a couple of years older, it's got a few more views than yours. So if you really want to help your video stand out, do that keyword research, download TubeBuddy, it will really help. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some pointers and some tips and some encouragement to pick up a camera, start recording yourself, and don't be afraid to put some videos online. The sooner you do that, the quicker you'll get feedback and the better your videos will be in a shorter period of time. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and drop this video a like, and I'll see you on the next one.